Hello, and welcome. My name is Sabrina Victoria, and I have Emily Tosoni here with us today. This is her talk show. Thank you so much for being here. We are diving into the subjects of hooks, emotionally charged hooks, to be honest with you. And when we say hooks, we're talking about social media because Emily Tosoni is the Instagram guru, for those of you that didn't know. Emily and I are actually hosting a retreat coming up April 2026. And I thought it would be a good idea to have her on to share some of her knowledge, some of the education that she has around Instagram. So for those of you that are thinking about attending the retreat and you've been clicking on the link every day to check it out and see what's going on, and you're checking on planes and airlines and pricings and travel and talking to the husband, you can get a better understanding of some of the stuff, right? Some of the knowledge that Emily has behind the scenes when it comes to Instagram, and all the knowledge that she holds, and the who you'll be able to be hanging out with. One of the peeps. I'm the other peep, but this is about Emily today. But I might have some info.
We're a dynamic duo, that's for sure.
All right. So thank you, Emily, for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me, Sabrina.
You're welcome. So we're talking about, I almost changed that to doom scrolling, by the way, because isn't all scrolling doom scrolling? Like, do people actually scroll with intention a lot?
I don't know the stats on that. I don't know for sure, but I would say most of us at least are familiar with and have doom scrolled. So yes.
I always put a capital DOOM. Doom. Scrolling. So I want to kind of open up. We already have a couple of people on live here. Thank you so much for being here, hanging out with us, by the way. We're talking about emotionally charged hooks, turning scrollers into buyers. As a woman entrepreneur, that's who we work with. So I'd like to kind of just start with the most basic question that I could think of, and that is, what the F is a hook?
Okay. The hook is the thing that grabs your attention. And in this case, there are a few different things that can be hooks, but we're talking specifically about the on-screen text that grabs my attention. So the other place that you'll see hooks are magazine titles. So like the headlines that you see on a magazine when you're in the store, when you're like at the checkout line at the grocery store. Those are hooks, the headlines. They're trying to grab your attention. If you are still someone who reads a newspaper, whether it's a physical newspaper or an online newspaper, the headline, that is a hook. The first bold line of an article in a magazine, those are hooks. Hooks are just there to literally capture your attention, because it's not that we lack attention spans. It's that our brains now have to, like, our brains are designed to filter through information and only focus on what is important, relevant, and necessary. Like, that's what our brains are so smart. That's what they're supposed to do. And so hooks help. Like, if you can really understand who your ideal client is, what they struggle with, you can write hooks that stop their scroll because you've captured their attention and you've done it in a way that is relevant to them, has meaning, is something that is important, timely. So hooks can also be movement. So like, when we're talking about short form video, like Reels with Instagram, if there's movement in the video in the background, those are also hooks. Any other visuals you use, so your brand elements, when you sprinkle those in, those are hooks because they're visual memories. Oh my gosh, I know that's Emily's content because of that, the like font and the color of that headline. I don't even need to read what it says to know that's Emily's or that's Sabrina's. So there's a variety of like things that you can use in your content that would be considered hooks to grab attention. Today, we want to chat about and specifically get into more detail about the text that you're using, the on-screen text, to stop me in my scroll so that I actually look at your piece of content.
I love it. Does the picture also have a lot to do with the clickability. Like, let's say the hook is fantastic, but the picture is boring AF. Will that lead any? Like, do we need both in order for there to be a click see more?
Yes and no. So like 2 years ago or so, it was really important that every visual that you used was like aesthetically pleasing, that really like aligned, that looked very curated and perfected. That doesn't matter as much anymore. In fact, for the most part, our brains are now, as we're filtering through, detecting if it looks very, very polished, it looks like an ad. If it looks like an ad, we're more likely to scroll. So there are a lot of business owners, whether you're like running your business by yourself or maybe you have a small team, putting a lot of effort into the production value. And to a point, you want to have great production value. Like you want the image to be clear. You don't want it to be grainy. You want it to have good lighting, all of this. But when we're going to far extremes with our production value to make it look perfect, it can actually be a turnoff in the scroll. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have that high production value for your website or for the things that people are purchasing from you, like the actual, physical things or virtual things, digital things. But when we're talking about social media content, yes, you want it to be visually appealing enough that I'm drawn in. But if there's an overproduction of it, it can actually deter me. Yeah. And there's a fine line for that. And it's different for every business, but basically speaking, what I hope your takeaway is from that is that don't worry if it's not perfect. It will usually perform better if it looks less perfected.
Yeah, I'm really appreciating this because I just put up a post today, conveniently, with a really good hook. I think the hook is, it often had me on the floor of my bathroom crying and screaming. Now, normally that a hook like that, because I use them all the time, my expertise is storytelling. So I storytell consistently throughout my social media. Usually a hook like that would already have me quite a few comments.
Yep.
And there's 1, 2 with me because I commented on the comment. But the picture is very ad-esque. Not purposely, but
Yep.
it is. And I actually thought of that. Let me pull it up. Let me see if I can pull it up. I actually thought of that when I was doing it. And I'm like, no, it should be fine because this hook is really freaking good. So there's no way that it'll deter it. So this is the hook. You can see it right at the top. So this is what Emily's talking about. So this hook that you see before the see more. Now, normally that would get quite a few people to click on this and to read my story. This was posted an hour ago. I should already have at least 10 to 15 comments for me personally. But this is very the story is very vulnerable and the picture is very cut and paste.
So here, I want to, while you have this up on screen, I want to
and I purposely, okay, let's just dissect this for a second because I purposely put this behind it because it originally was just the TEDx, which is the views and the comments. I'm basically saying thank you to those that have commented and viewed. And I shared a little bit of my story and how now, because they commented and viewed early on in the post on YouTube, and now the algorithm's catching, and now people who need to see the video are now seeing the video and learning from my story of abuse. So it was originally just the TEDx. And I was like, oh, it's looking too professional. No one's going to click on it. So I kind of put this behind it, which is kind of like my image, my logo, I guess you could say, of me. And it's still, go ahead.
So now Facebook is not my area of expertise, but here's what I will say. The thing you want with your hooks is you want them on the screen, not hidden in the caption. So the hook itself, and here's how I would wordsmith this, because you're trying to reach people with this specifically, like women who have survived abusive relationships. Okay. So your hook could be even more strengthened and then be on the screen, on the actual image, could say, okay, so it was, It often had me on the floor of my bathroom crying and screaming. So you could even, to be more emotionally driven and compelling for the audience you're trying to reach here, say something like, when I was in, and this is like off the cuff, so this is not going to be perfect. You're a woman in a relationship that feels like bullying, and you often find yourself on the floor of the bathroom crying and screaming. And then you find my profile and you don't feel alone anymore.
Putting that here in the picture,
putting it on the actual image. So like this is where the transition has to happen of, we put so much of our content, our expertise, our knowledge, the way we're like gripping people in the caption. And most people aren't looking at captions. They are looking at the on-screen image or the reel, right? So it's either like the short form video in a reel, or it's the image. So if we're not putting a hook, a on-screen text that is compelling on the actual image, if we're hiding it in our caption, it doesn't mean people won't read it. And we want it in the caption as well, because that helps the algorithm to categorize and like better understand the full context of what we're putting out there. But most people don't see it. And if they don't see it, they're not going to stop.
Got it. So I should have almost kept the whole thing and then just in big letters wrote something similar to what you just said. Are you a woman who?
Yes.
Dude, I might fucking redo that. I love that.
It would be interesting. You could redo it and keep both up. And then, and then there's your A/B testing, right? There's your like scientific experiment of like, okay, I did it this way and now I'm doing it this way. And which one captures the attention? Which one then leads to, because it's not just about more views and more engagement. It's also about how we connect with people to help them move through our ecosystem, to move through their consumer journey toward working with us. That's like the 30,000 foot goal of each hook.
Got it.
Each piece of content.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So I just wrote that down. So I posted this Friday around 11 a.m. So I'll probably redo it and schedule it to repost next Friday at 11 a.m. So it's like equal.
Yeah.
Dude, I freaking love that. This is why they call you the Instagram guru.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So are there certain emotions? So you're talking about emotions, right? So this is more of like a sad emotion, like finding my peeps, right? My people, my women. Does it always have to be emotionally charged more negatively? Is there also positive, happy, emotionally charged hooks that do well? What do you think? Pain, pleasure? Where do you usually teach?
So there's nothing wrong with using positively aligned hooks. However, based off of human behavior, based off of why we do or do not make choices, eliciting negative emotion is usually the way that we make decisions. So we feel seen, heard, understood when people understand our struggles. So if you can use hooks that are more negatively aligned or are calling out the thing, the pain point, the frustration, the overwhelm, whatever it is they struggle with, they being your ideal client. You can also in your hook, basically guide them to what the transformation and the positive feeling is that you're going to give them. There's lots of different ways you can do this with your hooks, but the main thing is you have to start the transition from 3 tips to help with hair growth. Like if that's like a general, if you align with that, if you're like, yeah, that's how most of my hooks are, like 3 tips you can use to get this, or 3 ways you can start doing this today to get this result differently. Those kinds of hooks they don't perform well anymore because they were overdone. And now everyone on social media, the majority of people posting on social media are businesses or content creators. We're trying to capture attention. You have a lot more information to rifle through. That's not going to do it. That doesn't capture your attention. What captures your attention instead is every time you take a shower, clumps of hair are falling out. You have no idea what the root cause is. And then you find my profile and you learn the 3 things you should talk to your doctor about to figure out what the root cause is. That is the shit that gets people to stop their scroll, because that elicits a feeling in me, the person who's like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one that had clumps of hair falling out every time I wash my hair in the shower. I don't know what the hell is going on. That's going to stop my scroll, as opposed to 3 tips to stop hair loss. That is a headline, a title you would see on a pamphlet in a doctor's office.
Totally. Yeah.
So what you want to think of when well, let me say, here are some of the 4 issues that I find most people are making when it comes to how they write hooks. So most people's hooks are too generic, and their content sounds and looks like everyone else in their niche. So then they get frustrated, like, oh my God, nobody sees my content, nobody interacts with it. But more importantly, nobody is taking the next step from my content, whatever that is in your ecosystem.
Totally.
For
That's
me, the next step I want you to take in my content ecosystem is I want you to grab a free thing from me. Grab my consistency checklist, grab my say this, not that resource. I want you to grab one of those from me so you can see what it's like to learn from me. You can see actionable results. That's my ecosystem. I don't know what yours is, but if your content is not getting people to take that next step action, it doesn't even matter if it goes viral. If people aren't taking action from it that leads toward buyers, clients, what is the point? Okay. So the first thing is too generic. Your hooks are too generic. And again, that comes back to the like 3 tips for this, 3 things you're doing that you should do better. Like that doesn't work. The second thing is your hooks aren't speaking to what your audience is actually struggling with every day. You're speaking to like generic issues, or you're speaking over their head with your niche language.
Why do you think we do that?
Because we're afraid to get specific with who our ideal client is.
Why are we afraid?
Because we don't want anyone to feel like we can't help them. We don't want anyone to be like, we're afraid that if we niche down, there won't be enough people, which is like the complete opposite of how it actually works. There's enough people struggling with the thing that you help them with. But if you're like, okay, so, again, generic would be 3 ways to help you with hair loss. What hair loss? Like, is it, I just had a baby and my hair is falling out? Is it I'm in perimenopause and my hair is falling out? Is it I'm a man in my 30s and my hair is falling out? Telling me you have 3 tips to help prevent hair loss doesn't mean a fucking thing to me, because I don't know which hair loss situation you're talking about.
Yeah.
So when you instead say you're a mom with a 3-month-old who also works a full-time job, who's not getting any sleep, who barely has time to eat, who's pumping through every lunch break, and your hair is falling out in clumps, I have got a tip for you that can help with whatever. That is specific. But what happens is most people don't want to niche down like that. And by niche, I just mean get very clear on who you're speaking to. Because if you don't have that clarity, you cannot speak to the actual emotions with specificity that they have, that they struggle with, that you help them overcome. And if you can't speak to those emotions, your content, it doesn't matter if you're consistent. It doesn't matter if you create great content. It doesn't even matter if you go viral. If it's not specific enough to let the audience know who you actually help and how you help them and what struggle you take them from and the outcome you take them to, I'm sorry, it doesn't. So like the same goes for, and another example is like wellness coaches. Okay.
First.
What part of wellness are you helping people with? And who are you helping? Like, I need more than just, here are 3 things that you can incorporate into your daily wellness routine. Is it my emotional wellness routine, my physical wellness routine, my spiritual wellness routine? Yeah. Who am I? Am I a mom with 3 kids? Am I a single? Like,
yeah. You see this with holistic coaches.
Yes.
And trauma coaches. Like, what trauma? And there's little t trauma and big T trauma. Like, what trauma? And what's so bad about this, I actually have a story with this, is I was involved with a coach who could help with a certain sort of trauma. And she was not qualified to hold space for my trauma in the least. But I didn't know that, and she motherfucking didn't know that.
Yep.
And the reason I didn't know, I never would have gone to her or agreed to this if I would have known the degree of which she was capable of coaching me. And
Yep.
it turned out to be an entire clusterfuck of a mess that I actually had to like heal on my own over the course of like 30 days because I was so traumatized by all of the boxes that we opened, not like unpacked and like reframed, just left open.
Yep.
That really fucked with me really bad.
I have all sorts of feelings about like, if you need to work through trauma, you need to go to a like mental health professional, not someone who's like done a 30-day or
I know
course. You need to like work with a mental health professional because that's like a whole, there's a lot to learn from this story, Sabrina, that you're sharing. One is as a consumer, you need to know who you're investing with can actually help you with the thing with specificity that you need help with. And that's something that we usually learn the hard way, right? Like we think they know and they won't tell us they don't know because they want clients. They won't tell us like that's above and beyond what I can do.
Yeah.
So this is also why it's very important that you have great specificity around your ideal client, not just a woman in her 40s, but also the psychographics, the emotions, the feelings, the behaviors, the things that drive us to make decisions, the things that hold us back from making decisions, the things that keep us up at night, that wake us up in the morning in a cold sweat. Those are the things you have to be able to speak to. And most people are still staying very generic with their content because they don't want anyone to feel like they don't want to like niche down so far that they can't help other people who
who they think they can help. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
No more generic. None of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like this was a really good just visual though for people to really understand it's not just important just for marketing, but it's also just important for, and plus, this is the thing, ladies. When you niche down, then you can actually become an expert on that one specific area.
Yeah.
Right? Like religious trauma. Like you could do so deep with along all of the religions, all of the things within versus just trauma. Could be sexual, could be husband, could be spouse, could be parents, could be religion, could be teachers, could be a car accident. You can't go deep on that if there's so much that you have to cover. Oh, that just sounds exhausting.
Yeah, it's exhausting for you as the professional trying to offer those services. And it's also it's not useful to the potential client because you don't have the depth of understanding. And maybe you do, but they don't know that because you're trying to cover all the things. And again, like the example I always like to use is wellness, that like wellness is so many things. So what part of wellness? Oh, you're going to help me with my fitness? Okay, what part of my fitness? Are you helping me with accountability? Are we trying to get stronger? Are we trying to get ready for pregnancy with fitness? Like I encourage people to continue to dive deeper each time until you get down to like a real core.
Yeah.
And anyway, there's so much more to that, but like start with what we're talking about here, the generic, like you cannot be generic anymore. So there has to be a starting to niche, which just means clarifying, getting very specific about who you help, how you help them, and what their struggles are and how they would describe it. So that's the third thing that I see that people struggle with is you're not using language that your ideal client would use when they describe their struggle. You're using language from your own brain and it doesn't land with them.
Yeah.
Your hooks, your content in general, on your website, in your emails, on social media, everywhere needs to speak in the language that they speak about their struggle in, which means you have to listen to the ideal client that you want to work with. So one of the ways I do this is when someone joins my email list, I have a welcome email series. And one of the emails is like, hi, I'm so glad you're here. Please reply to this email and tell me, what are your main struggles when it comes to growing on Instagram? Like, what is the main thing you're struggling with? And I literally copy and paste exactly what they say. And then I have a list of all the things people have responded with. And when I'm like, I don't know what kind of content to create today, I will go into that list and I will look at the exact way that they phrased it. Not how I would say it, not in like a perfect curated way. I look at exactly how they said it and I will figure out how to turn that into a hook.
Love that.
And if you're like, I don't have an email list yet. I don't know. You know people in your life that are probably the ideal client you would want to work with. Talk to them, ask them for feedback. Maybe you already have a following on Instagram, so ask them. You could reach out to people individually if you have a relationship. I'm not into like the cold DMs, so don't do that. But reach out to somebody who you maybe already have a connection with and say, like, what exactly are you struggling with when it comes to whatever it is that you help them with? You could do a question box in your stories on Instagram and ask the same thing. Like, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to best, serve you with my content and my offers. What are the main things you struggle with? Because usually it's going to be different than what you think it is. Or it's similar to what you think, but they give you more depth of understanding because they're actually in the struggle right now. So that's the third piece. And then the fourth is your content is not actually speaking to the very real, deep fears and emotional barriers that keep people from buying. So this is actually one of the main trainings I do at the retreat, is all about the consumer journey and buyer psychology. People aren't just going to buy from you because you know what you're talking about or because you have information or expertise. That's not why we buy from anyone, especially service-based business owners. We have to feel like we know them, we trust them, we have to feel like they understand us. We want to feel seen and heard and understood. And that takes time. So the consumer journey, your ecosystem, the way that people progress through, the psychology of why we do or do not make purchases, you have to consider all of these things in your marketing one piece of content at a time. And if you're like, oh my God, that feels so overwhelming. Okay. Do you want clients? You put a lot of effort and energy into creating your offers, and that's great, but your offers will literally collect dust if you are not putting energy into marketing in a way that draws people in.
Yeah.
And you do that with emotionally charged. First of all, you have to have an emotional understanding so that you can create content that elicits an emotion from people. And this is not like a taking advantage of thing. This is just human nature. This is just human nature. We want to feel safe, right? This is like one part of human nature that is like always, this is why fight or flight, like we want to feel safe. We always want to feel at homeostasis and safe. And if we feel like people don't understand the struggles we have, there's a lack of a feeling of safety.
Yeah.
Whether it's like physical safety or not, it's just emotional safety, all of the things. So when I feel like you understand my real struggles, then I'm more likely to want to know more from you. Then I care about what you know, your expertise, your background, your education, how many clients you've worked with. Then I want to see the proof, but I don't give a shit about any of that until I know that you understand how I feel.
Yeah.
And a lot of our content out there, a lot of what I see is it's all about what you know, what you know, what you know, what you know. You're telling everybody what you know. I don't care. And Sabrina's heard me say this before, and I'm just, I don't care how many books you've written. I don't care that you're about to release a book. I don't care how many podcasts you've been on. I don't care about any of that until I know that you actually understand me. So if all your content is about you and how great you are, and hear me when I say, like, you need to talk about yourself in your content also.
Yeah.
But first, or equally, you have to have content that shows people you understand what they struggle with.
Yeah, it definitely has to be a pretty good mix. I always say you have to brag about yourself until other people start bragging about you. Because if you never talk about, I can't even tell you until H Club, like when I really have one on ones with people, there's like so much, like, I don't even know this about you. Like, I didn't even know you had all of that going on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you do have to. I have a question regarding all of this. So when you're talking about hooks, we're talking about hooks right now. Are we what are we trying to generate? Like, what is the feeling that we're trying to generate in order for somebody to buy, right? Like, we're talking about emotionally charged hooks that turn scrollers into buyers. What is the emotion? Like, curiosity is something that I'm thinking of. Like, some of the things that you were saying, it's like, ooh, you're like curious about it, which then has the scroller like dive into who you are, click on something, do something, take an action. But I feel like it's not just curiosity. Like, what are some other emotions that we're trying to elicit to get somebody to take action toward our business?
So I think there's multiple answers in here. So the first thing is there's no one piece of content that's going to sell your shit. There's like, so this is something that I work on a lot with clients. They feel like they can just post about what they sell and that's going to sell it. There's no one piece of content that's going to sell what you offer because that's not how buyer psychology works. So each piece of content essentially has like a different purpose and you get to decide what that is. And again, that also depends on the ecosystem you're bringing people into. So again, this is stuff that we will talk about in depth at the retreat, that like a lot of people out here are trying to take you, a lot of you are trying to take someone from lurker on Facebook or Instagram to purchasing your one-on-one high level offer. You lack an ecosystem that will guide them through the process to learning more about you toward purchasing that offer. Okay. You have to have an ecosystem that takes them from like, I'm interested to, I want to learn a little bit more without paying you. So this is where lead magnets become so important, and having that simple next step, like as simple as possible for them to get it from you, delivered directly to their email. then they're like, okay, now I'm like intrigued. I'm like really curious about you and what you offer. Not quite ready for your one-on-one, for your high ticket. What's the next? Okay. And then you have a low ticket, something next step where they can, whatever that looks like. So having an ecosystem that then your content guides them through. They have to be paired together. So like for me, my snippet reels, so reels that use trending audios. This is how I teach my clients. Trending audios that are 5 to 15 seconds long. The goal there is reach and get you on, get something of mine that's free into your hands. So everyone needs to have that kind of mentality. What kind of content can I create that has a bite-sized bit of information about what I know in a way that relates to an emotional state that they have, or an emotion that they are experiencing around the thing, so that they'll read the caption and take a next step, whatever the next step is. So for me, it's always like DM or comment the word hookup to get my free say this, say that resource to write better hooks. Okay, that's my main one right now. That's my ecosystem. So the content reflects the next step I want you to take. Now, talking head reels where you're giving more depth of information. Now I'm going to introduce my next step in the ecosystem, which is try Instagram Growth Lab, my monthly membership community. So now I'm still addressing you with my hook. The understanding is like me talking to you, starting from like that emotional state. Now I'm giving you a bit more depth of information to maybe something I've already talked about in a snippet reel. And I'm saying, you know, if you want the overall growth strategy for how to use Instagram to not only grow followers, but also like increase your sales, then you can DM or comment IGL, and I'll send you the link to try Instagram Growth Lab for $7 your first month. And then when we're talking about Instagram, specifically carousels, also give more depth of information. They're more likely to be seen by your existing followers. There's a caveat there. Carousels now have reach as a reel if you add a trending audio.
This
But
is actually very interesting to go along with what you were just saying when we opened up. Oh my gosh, this is so interesting. So, like, carousels were a thing. There's always been carousels where you could put multiple pictures. They just weren't called carousels.
yeah, I mean, that was just how the app started, like pictures.
Right. To get back to what Emily opened with when I was sharing my example where she said all like there needs to be some shit written in the picture because no one's reading the caption. I didn't even know it was called a caption. I thought it was called copy or description. So no one is reading the caption. They're just browsing basically the picture or the reel and whatever's on it. So the carousel, you're writing all your shit on every single picture. Right?
Yeah.
There's like 5 to 10 words on every single picture. They're still not probably necessarily clicking on the caption.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, most people don't read captions. Like, I always like to encourage people to think about your own scrolling behavior. Most of us are not clicking into the caption. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't write a caption. The caption should still have information. It should be detailed because that helps the algorithm to categorize your content and recommend it to the right audience. But most people are not reading the caption. And the real struggle is most of us are hiding the important information in the caption.
What about, yes, I am. So I have a question then. What about, I'm on TikTok all the time. I know we're not talking about TikTok, so excuse me, but I see this a lot where it'll say like a little blurb, kind of like what you said, like, are you a mother who, blah, blah, blah. Read the caption.
Yep.
And then you're like, ugh, do I really want to fucking read the caption? And then many times I do. How is that rolling? Like, is that something to get people to read the caption, or are people still obviously maybe just scrolling past that? Do people read the directions?
So if you have a great captivating hook that people feel aligned with and they stop to read the rest of it, and then your on-screen call to action is more details in the caption or read the caption for more information. That kind of thing works well because you've already given them some context. You've already explained and they can see that you understand their struggle because your hook was appealing. There are also times when people use the read the caption call to action that is like not cool. When you have a hook that doesn't really tell me anything and you just want me to read the caption because that's where all the information is, that's cool. But like, give me some context first about what I'm going to find in the caption. So like for me, I create content that literally shows you how to write better hooks. Okay. So I have like content that says, say this, not that. It's on the screen. And sometimes depending on what I'm conveying, I'll say more details or hook suggestions in the caption. So you know exactly what you're going to get when you click into the caption. There's going to be more of what you want in there, more hooks, exactly how to do it, how to film this reel specifically, and how to use it for your niche. Instead of me saying, it would be kind of like, if I said like, you want to write better hooks, ... And then I said like more details in the caption. Maybe people are going to click in, but also most people don't like that if they don't know what they're going to get from taking
It feels very tricky.
Yes. Yeah. Don't be tricky about it. Like, tell me what I'm going to get down there. You don't have to write a paragraph. If you click on the caption, you're going to get, but like, you're giving me a sneak peek based off of what the hook is and some context. And now I know I'm going to get more in the caption. So I always get questions of like, this feels very overwhelming. This feels confusing. It is a learned behavior. Like learning how to write your content like this is a learned behavior. It takes time, but you also know what kind of content you get the like, this is trickster situation, or the content that you're like, ooh, I want to read more of that. So you can also kind of audit your own consumer behaviors, like content consumer behaviors, and start to pay attention to what kind of content makes you stop the scroll. What kind of content makes you hit the paper airplane and share it to someone, right? Like, what are they doing?
I can totally see how this could possibly feel more overwhelming, but also if we're thinking of reframing it, Emily is actually making it a lot easier for us because back in the day, we used to feel as if we had to give
All the time.
so much information in the caption, and it had to be like, oh, and enticing and readable. Oh, and basically, what Emily short form is saying is you don't barely need to put anything in the caption, just a couple SEO keywords that kind of make sense, few sentences. And instead of writing something that's super freaking long,
Yep.
you put the main bullet points on the graphic, on the picture.
Yeah, I mean, there's a balance there, but yes, like
instead of like taking your 3 points and writing this whole long 1 paragraph per point with an opening and a closing,
Nope.
right? Just figure out there's some brainstorming that has to work here, but figure out a enticing way, a hook to convey those 3 things quickly.
Yep.
In like a sentence, basically, over 3 carousels, or on one reel where it's flipping 1, 2, 3 with like an ending. It actually is making me feel lighter. And I guess the one overwhelming thing would be like, damn, I guess I need more content. So
yes,
it's almost like you need to be posting literally every single day, short snippets versus one long thing, which is what a lot of people do once a week.
Yeah. So for your example here, so say you have a concept you're trying to teach and there are 3 points you want to hit on. What I encourage my clients to do is take take that long form content that you would write about the thing and turn that into an email, turn that into a blog post, turn that into something that is out there. So like SEO purposes and whatnot, it's there. And then you take it and break it into chunks. So now you can create 3 reels from this one piece of content. One reel is about point 1, one reel is about point 2, one reel is about point 3. Then you can create another talking head reel where you give a quick, like, here's point 1, blah, blah, blah. Here's point 2, blah, blah, blah. Here's point 3, blah, blah, blah. If you want more detail about each of these points, check out the caption. I've got a little bit more information. And then you can also create a carousel of slides with the same information. You've essentially just created 5 pieces of content. So your week is done. It's all around the same thing. And here's the deal. Repetition is how people learn. Yeah. You have already said the thing in a piece of content. I hear this all the time. Well, I already sent an email about that 6 months ago. I already posted. Nobody remembers. Yeah. No one remembers. Literally send the same damn email. Yeah. Email has a 23% open rate. Okay. Most people skim emails. Most people skim captions. Most people didn't read what you already wrote. So literally, I can't tell you how many times I will reuse the exact caption. I will create a caption, create a snippet reel, and then do a talking head reel, use the same caption. No one has ever said, hey, Emily, I noticed that you used the same caption in this reel. Nobody noticed. But do you know what that does? Is it helps the algorithm to know exactly who I'm trying to speak to, what I'm trying to convey, and how to categorize my content to recommend it to you so that you can find me, so that I don't have to go out hunting for you. I just have to be very clear. You have to be very clear with your content, who you're trying to reach, how you're going to help them. You're using the keywords and phrases they would use to explain to you the struggle they're having. That's how the algorithm works to help you get seen, get found, get followed, and get people into your ecosystem. We are over the overcomplication of like, just all the things that business owners get in their head about and overcomplicate. Literally take I have an entire training on this inside Instagram Growth Lab, how to take one content idea and turn it into a week's worth of content with step-by-step instructions of like, here's how to create reels. Here's how to do a talking head reel. You can go live about it if you have enough followers to go live. You can create a carousel. You can create an email. You can do a blog post from one idea, one content idea. Your entire week of content is then done. And then you're doing it correctly with hooks. The content has the right words in it that are SEO focused and also human centered, right? You're still talking to people, not to computers. You're talking to the people on the other end. The goal here is to decrease the stress that you feel when it comes to content creation so that you don't have to come up with brand new grandiose ideas every single day. You're literally just taking one idea and breaking it into chunks, bite-sized pieces, because I know I'm like kind of on a roll here, but most people can't handle all the information about the thing that the first time they land on your profile.
Yeah.
Most people don't have the time to sit down and listen to a TED Talk. And by that, I mean like you talking for 5 minutes on a piece of video content in depth about everything. Give me snippets. Literally leave me curious enough that I want to follow you for more information.
Absolutely.
It's like the flirt. It's like the first date. Like you don't like share everything at once. I mean, maybe you do. Maybe it's that kind of first date where you're like, oh my God, let's sit here for 10 hours and share everything. But for the most part, you're creating the curiosity to bring them back. And you're doing that with bite-sized bits of information that leave them with a feeling. Emily gets me. It is the highest compliment when someone sends me a message or comments on a piece of content of mine that says, oh my God, it feels like you're in my head. Yeah. Oh my God, I feel like you know me. Oh my God, are you sitting on my shoulder? Like the highest compliment, because that means I understand you and I'm speaking directly to the struggle you have, which means I'm doing it right.
I love that. And to tell you the truth, I'm going to say, if you have not received a message like that, it's a huge sign that you need to be revamping. Yeah. You need to be revamping, because even if they're not buying from you, there should be individuals that are commenting exact comments like that on your social. Absolutely. Either directly in the comments or in the DMs.
Because if they're commenting like that and you're like, oh my God, but they're not liking my stuff. It doesn't matter. They're watching.
Yeah.
We get so in our heads about like, I don't have enough likes or comments or shares. Do you know how many people are watching your content that aren't engaging at all, but it is landing with them?
Yeah.
So, and people are feeling that way, hopefully they're feeling that way, whether they're messaging you or not. But if you're not showing up, if you're telling yourself Instagram's not worth it, social media is not worth it, then they literally can't find you. They literally can't get to know you. And if you're like, well, I have a website and it's search engine optimized, we're like, I've got I paid someone to do that for me. Good. Yes, you need that. Also, your website is not why people work with you. I'm sorry. That is the place people go after they already know that they are bought into you. You understand them. They feel a level of trust. They are curious. They're intrigued. They've been consuming your content. They understand you. They're in your ecosystem. Then they go to your website to purchase. If your website is the only thing you're doing to market, I'm sorry, that is your website is not a marketing tool.
Totally. And I've talked about that so much. Like a lot of the books, a lot of the like courses that I've taken and stuff, I'm like, I think about it. I'm like, I've never been on that person's website.
Ever.
Never. I literally bought it off of their social media. I just saw their social, freaking 17, 32, 47 times. And finally was like, I'm going to buy that shit.
Yep.
And I just buy it right off their social without ever looking at their website.
Yep. Yeah. You go to their website because you're on their social and you click on it and it pulls their website up to because that's where the point of purchase is happening.
Or the sales page. Yeah.
Portal. Right. But most people, this is the.
I was one of those people too, though. Like when I opened up my first website, fucking a long ass time ago, I remember the feeling that I got of like, I'm going to become a millionaire now that I have a website. And then immediately within 22 days, realizing,
Nope.
oh shit. Because you can see like the analytics on it. And I like announced it. I'm like, I have a website. Back then it was health and wellness. I was all into like yoga and healthy eating and smoothies and whatever the hell else. And it was like 4 people looked at the website because you can see the analytics, you know, like 4 people went to the website and just like scrolled at the first page.
Yep.
And I was devastated. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I was official.
No. I mean, again, you need a website. Like here both of us saying this. Like I am not saying you don't need a website. What I am saying is there's an you're inviting people into your ecosystem. And there's a step-by-step process that happens based off of buyer psychology, the consumer journey. Okay, so that's like the 30,000 foot understanding. And then you have to guide them through that process because most people are not ready to just throw their money at you. Even if you solve their problem, they need to know that you're the person that they want to work with to solve their problem. And that takes a different amount of time for each person, but it's still based off of the psychology of the consumer journey of like, I need to feel like I know you, like you, and can trust you. And that happens because I can see that you understand me. And a website is a static representation of that, of like you and what you offer. Social media is literally your opportunity to create that connection. So when you literally make that the least important part of your marketing strategy, when you're like, I'll post on social media, I'll figure that out after I finish writing my book. I'll figure that out after I get my website done. I'll figure that out after I make my first like $10,000. You've missed the most important mark of it's kind of like opening a brick and mortar coffee shop and then telling no one where you're located, no one what the hours are, and hiring no one to be in there. What the fuck was the point of all the effort you put in to having a location, buying all the things? You don't tell anybody when you're open, where you're located, or hire people. It's not going to work.
It's a good
analogy. Social media is the place where you have to give intention to not just capturing attention, but doing it intentionally to build connection. And I want to say I saw a snippet today of, I know I'm going to say his name wrong. How do you say it? Gary Vaynerchuk? How do you say his name? Right? Okay. So it was a clip of him on stage somewhere. I don't know if it was with Tony Robbins or what, but he was saying like, essentially, stop having emotion around your business. Stop like talking about emotion. And I want to like very clearly say that man is much more successful than me. Okay. But he's wrong. He's wrong. If you are not taking the time to understand the emotions that people have and to explain to them that you understand, your business will not grow. I mean, we're all human. Emotions are a normal part of our human experience. And when we feel seen, heard, and understood, we are much more drawn in to the person that makes us feel that way. It is a feeling of safety and security that you cannot replicate in other places. Now, there's a lot more to say about like your own emotions and like learning how to have emotional intelligence for yourself and in your business and like, but you have to use an understanding of emotion in order to create the know, like, and trust factor that leads to sales.
Absolutely.
So don't come after me, Gary.
I love Gary.
I know, and he's great, and he's successful, and also, emotion is how we connect to people, and especially if we're in service-based businesses. Nobody wants to connect with someone that comes across as a robot. Like, that's not the reality of like the human side of what we do. You want to work with humans, you have to understand human behavior, and emotion is part of our human experience and our behavior and how we make decisions.
Yeah, agree. Well, this has been great. I
Great.
love it. Obviously, one of the reasons why we are bringing this to you, ladies and gentlemen, is this is one of the things that Emily's going to be teaching at the retreats, the all women's business retreat happening April 23rd through the 26th at the Blue Ridge Mountains in Georgia.
Yes.
And yeah, we kind of wanted to give you a taste of all of the goodness that is inside Emily's head. I know sometimes it could be a little daunting when we're signing up for something like this, because we're like, what exactly is going to be happening? How educated is this person exactly? How, what kind of things am I exactly going to be learning? And so we thought it would be best to bring her on to be able to let you guys know, like, hey, listen, this is the real deal here. There's going to be some serious movement. And you saw it here. If you were listening from the beginning, you saw me here live. And I'm with Emily during this retreat here live, learning again from her on how I can be tweaking my social media so that it is benefiting my audience towards creating more success in my business.
Yeah. And I also want to validate that, like, you as a business owner, each of you here with us, we know you have a lot of things going on. We know you're already looking ahead to your schedule. This is why we're letting you know about this retreat ahead of time. So this is happening the end of April 2026. I know for me, I'm already mapping out next summer for my kid for travels and camps, because this is real life. So we wanted to give you plenty of time. And we also wanted to make sure that you get your questions answered, because we have the information that you need. Now, the questions that you have, bring them to us so we can make sure to answer anything else that's running around in your head about, is this the right investment for me right now? But if you are a woman who owns your own business, who feels like, I don't have the sales I want, and I don't have a system set up for social media, and my back end of my business feels like a mess, but I know what I know. I'm so good at what I do. I get results for my clients, and it's the shoring up of the systems and the strategies that are really bogging me down. This is for you. And the other person that it's really for is the person who's like, I have the money to invest, and I think I'm going to invest instead in going to this or that that's going to help me with my expertise in my field. Hear me when I say yes, and the growing your expertise, you should be doing that. And if you don't have the systems and structures built in to support the growth you want, you will continue to feel like you are drowning.
Absolutely.
This retreat is the thing that will help you build those systems and structures, so that as you're also investing in your expertise, your knowledge, all of those things, you have the foundation to support the growth and the scaling that you want for your business.
Yeah. I think that was one of the biggest aha moments that I had when I was in the rut, which a lot of women get into, that rut of just more certificates, more learnings, more seminars, more events, more programs, more courses. Is like, you're learning so much more, you have so much more to offer, but your business is still stagnant because you don't have the automations, the structure, the systems, the foundation like for your business, for it to be able to have any sort of growth whatsoever. So you're literally just sitting stagnant with now more knowledge now, but you still can't move because there's no automation whatsoever, no foundation, not whatsoever, but to the capacity of which it is, to get to the next level, you need more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need the structure there. And we understand that because we have both built multiple businesses and we understand what those structures and systems need to look like. And that's what we're going to teach you so that you can have sales. And so social media is the funnel that brings people into your ecosystem. We're going to work on all of those things. So just know that we created this for you. We individualize it as well. So we meet with each person prior to the retreat. You will be able to start to implement things even before April. And we have stacked a Black Friday bonus bundle for you with it's $1,000 worth of value in there. So when you register before Black Friday, which is on the 28th this month, first of all, you get $200 off your first registration payment. So you can literally reserve your spot. Your first payment could be $350 to reserve your spot for this retreat. And then you get all these other things that are in front of us right here. You get to do a podcast with Sabrina. You get to do an Instagram live with me. I give you an individualized audit of your Instagram profile. And then you get these 2 downloads that will help you with so many parts that you can like literally start to use right now. 50 follow-up moves to boost your sales and your connections. Everyone benefits from this. And then creating your high impact speaker sheet. Okay. Whoever you are, whatever business you're in, always being prepared to be a speaker and having that ready and laid out to go. There's so much value here that you get before you even show up at the retreat. You are not going to find a retreat experience that gives you as much as we're giving you for the price point that we are giving it to you.
Emphasis on that one.
And we broke the payments are broken into 4. So again, for accessibility, because we get it that you see the price point, it's broken into 4 payments. And again, your first payment is $200 off if you register by Black Friday. So reach out to us with questions because we know you have questions. And there's an FAQ section in here to answer, the questions that we've heard the most. But if you have another question, Sabrina and I are real people. I answer all my DMs. Do I have DM automation set up? Of course I do. But I also check my DMs like a human and I actually respond to you. So like whatever questions you have, ask us.
Absolutely. Well, this has been fabulous, lady. Absolutely fabulous. For those of you that are curious, for those of you that are curious,
yes.
The link is in the description below, wherever you are watching us at. Also dropped it in the comments here and there. You don't know unless you know. One of the things that I hear a lot is, I can't afford it. Oh, I don't know. The time when we start making decisions before we've even looked at it. So take a gander, read it through, and then make a decision.
Yep. Get all the information. And thanks for being here. Thanks for being here with us today. The thing that I always like to end every training with is go do something with what you just learned today. Whatever, it doesn't matter. You don't have to do 100 things. Do one thing with something that you learned today so that you can create those new neural pathways, start to create a new habit and an understanding of the information that you learned. So do something with what you learned today.
Absolutely. All right, ladies, thanks so much for being here, hanging out with us. If you made it to the end, please follow,